Welcome back. And of course, as we celebrate Heritage Month, we look at this topic this morning. Traditional beliefs versus religion. Can the two meet, and are they mutually exclusive? Joining us in studio for this discussion is Religious Studies Professor Farid Isaak from the Department of Religion at the University, Religion Studies at the University of Johannesburg, Arts and Culture Counselor at Christ the King Anglican Church, Malusi Gwangwa, as well as traditional healer Kitulezi Gwangwa. A very good morning to my guests, and thank you so much for joining us. Kitulezi, let me start with you and that question. Yeah. Can tradition and religion coexist? Are they mutually exclusive?
I don't think so at all. I feel that they can exist harmoniously together, and I feel that the reality is that they do.
Right.
That in South Africa, many families practice, or they have belief systems that they know in this space, this is how we are, in this space, and this is what we do. Mm-hmm. For the one, a person may say it is because they want to make sure they've got all grounds covered,
right.
You know, so that when they go to heaven, then nobody can say you missed out on anything. You know, you're shot in that department. But I feel that there is a certain level of resonance and that they find in each belief system, you know. And for me, I think there's a need to how can I say, demystify the notion that if you're a traditional healer, you're not God-fearing,
sure,
or you don't pray, or you don't understand spirituality, you know. And there's a need also for the Christian belief system to really, there's a lot of people who are Christians who have an understanding of the spiritual healing a belief system and appreciate and respect what happens in that space. So there's a need to do that.
Sitting right next to you is your brother,
yes,
who is very much involved in the church as well, and you're studying a lot on what happens in that space. It's very interesting to see siblings from the same family where usually the line is very clear and very divided. Malusi, your experience in terms of being this person who has that church background and who is from a church, have you found that there's a clash between religion and tradition?
Not really, not between the two of us, you know.
No, not
we talk quite often as well, you know, and what we discuss is usually based on a spiritual perspective. So she'll approach a lot of, you know, the conversations we have from a traditional, you know, point of view. And I will try to apply, you know, some biblical studies and a Christian faithfulness. But what we find that it's never I know better than you, or do you understand? So we always find grounding, and I think that's what's important for us to establish a place where we feel, look, this is a comfortable space for us to exist in, and in that way I'm able to learn from her, she's able to learn from me. Obviously it helps because she's my sister,
right?
You know, but this is also just one of those things that we learn at church, you know, that it's better to find out about each other first before we start to try and force our belief systems on each other. And if we approach a lot of, you know, the new relationships that we find ourselves in, I think it becomes easier to then say, look, I really don't mind which side of the coin you come from. You know, what we're trying to establish is a comfort in us moving forward together, and that's a bit more important to me than anything else.
Professor Isaak, why have we created enmity between religion and tradition in this country?
Well, I mean, there are two approaches to religion that causes conflict with tradition or lives in harmony with. The one is our religion has the answers to everything. We don't need anything beyond, for Muslims, the Quran and the Prophet, or for many Christians, we are covered by the blood of Jesus. So once you're covered by the blood of Jesus, you don't need anything. You don't need the ancestors, you don't need traditions, you don't need community. But there is a certain kind of logic behind that also. When the pastor says we are covered by the blood of Jesus, or this church is all that you need, it's another way of saying that we are the only ones entitled to your financial resources. we are the only ones entitled to your loyalty. So it is your relationship with me. And so when I say there shall be none other besides me, the Father, it's also, I don't want you to go to the neighbor next door and share your resources with the neighbor next door. Okay, so that on the one. But there are also other approaches to religion in the religious communities, and I think often, in many ways, the Catholic Church or the Anglican Church, the Quakers, these are established religious communities. They're often far more open to what they call enculturation, to taking on the traditions of the people, the communities wherein you are located, and blending your theology with that. So it is when fundamentalist religion clashes with traditional cultures that we see a problem. Oh, no, you can't add this to the burial of this man. No, you can't have this part in the wedding, this kind of paying homage to the ancestors. Or no, we didn't see the Prophet of Islam doing this, so you can't. It is when we see a fundamentalist interpretation of religion, when we see these clashes. But traditional religion itself is also deeply spiritual.
Yes.
It is deeply spiritual. It connects with beyond the mundane, with beyond the material.
And
so both of them may be spiritual at the same time.
Right, and that's where I want to come to you, Kitulezi, where we talk about spirituality, and in religion it's seen as the light. When we talk about tradition, especially Ubuzangoma, there's some sort of darkness associated with it. I guess it's also the framing where people call Izangoma, what do you call it, witch doctors, and sort of things like that attaches this negative connotation to it. Do you find that we have people who are conflicted between the two?
I think there is definitely a lot of conflict in it, but it's quite complex. There's a number of complexities tangled in that idea. First of all, the idea of traditional healers being seen as witch doctors comes from the need. It's what we inherited from your colonial area, where they tried to, defragmentize the communities and move them from a certain area and into a particular area. So what we had to do is take away their spiritual beliefs or the things that anchored them most. So we had to look at this as, so let's leave that on the side there. The fact that traditional healers themselves as well, I think in every religious belief you have your good and your bad, but which are we reporting on? Which is sensationalized on the media? Which is more exciting to read about? That a traditional healer assisted and helped and used medicine, plants, which has ancient scientific knowledge of African people and healed somebody, or that there was a whole episode about a Tigolosho or somewhere. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's about what we report on what we sensationalize. So there's complexities around that idea. For me, traditional healing is a science, and even the spiritual element of it, because when you look at energy, we are energy. I often say that, we are energy. Energy 100%. Does not disintegrate, it merely changes form, right? That's an understanding. When your body goes into the ground, it decomposes. Right. What happens to this intelligence that you are, this energy that it is, this creative energy, this intellectual energy, what happens to it? It doesn't disintegrate, it merely changes form. And there's a level of sensitivity that we have to one another. I can walk into a room, he can have his back to me, and I can feel that whether he's okay, whether he's happy, or whether he's upset, without him even saying anything to me. So there's a level of sensitivity between our energies. So I often always say that as human beings, we are sensitive to energy, and so when it has disintegrated and changed form, do we lose that sensitivity? Does it cease to be intelligent, creative energy that communicates? So there's people who are sensitive to this energy and who are able to tap into that frame. So this is that scientific element of it. And I can even go into the depth of DNA and the understanding of, essentially your skills and your experiences are passed down from generation to generation and tapping into that. But I won't go deep into that. But this is a science. There's people that understood and they were able to study human beings, and they created these systems and these sciences around that. And this communication or this sensitivity towards energy, there's spirituality, that is your grounding. So the thing is with traditional healers, that is their kind of like their offset. and then they find value and wisdom in every other religion, that there's teachings in Islam that they recognize, teachings in Buddhism, teaching in Christianity that they recognize. They do not actually just live exclusively and say everyone else has nothing of value to add. You see, and I think this is an important thing to bring to the fore.
We plug deeper into that, and that's such an amazing point that you made, but we plug deeper into this conversation when we return. We look at tradition versus religion. Do stay with us.